Circling up ahead of the bronze medal action here in the women's division, we have the Czech Republic in blue versus Austria in white. And it is a hot day at the fields here in Italy. Padova Ultimate hosting the European Youth Ultimate Championships 2023. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, alongside Christina Obermeier, who's going to have to use every inch of her professionalism to remain impartial, of course, in the booth. But being from the Austrian nation, you know so many of these athletes. What can we expect out of the Austrian women here at the under-20s level?
Of course, I know them rather well. I don't know all of them anymore because, well, they are quite a bit younger than me now. I know some of the Czechs as well, as I quite frequently play against them in the European scene, as some of them are already with East Block, Frisbee, and whatever else the international teams of the Czech Republic.
Well, they do have the largest representation coming out of Catch-Up Graz and Mosquitoes. And of course, those two are known for their mixed division action at the elite club European level. But I do hear a rumour that even already Catch-Up Graz play in the women's division as well, every so often. And I believe that the Mosquitoes are looking to develop their own women's side, Christina.
They are the Mosquitas. Fun pun there. Have been part of the Austrian national championships for quite some time, actually. And they of course, if you want to go back to the history of that club, it came to be out of Big Easy and Box, the dominant women's side, women's and open side respectively in Vienna. And they just some players that always lived around there decided, hey, we don't want to go to Vienna for trainings, we want to do our own thing, we want to try and develop our own program. Peter Scheruga, the father of one of the players on that Austrian team, kind of took control of that, and you see what happens. A great performance by their youth, the Mosquitoes. Also on the men's side, really dominant in terms of under-20 performance, and they have been a really good team internationally. They're top 8 in Europe. Also, I like to pull out that fun fact. They beat Hut at Elite Invite this year.
They did indeed. I had the pleasure of watching that match. There was maybe a little bit too much haste in the Dutch team that, of course, we're used to seeing go all the way through into championship finals at the European level. And this, of course, a rematch from the previous game round, not in terms of the teams in front of us, but the nations represented. The open sides did battle on the pitch just behind our show pitch number 3. But, of course, a rematch from pool play earlier on in the championship, because there is one pool to rule them all here for this 17 flushed women's division. But it's the Czech Republic that will start out with the disc on offense. See us what they can do. We know they do indeed have some pretty big hand cannons amongst them, but love that small ball even more. Stolova in the center of the field looking for options. He's going to have to take the resets, and underneath, though, flying form of Elena Veližová is going to have the first turnover of the game. So the Austrians with the disc, a massive backhand around break, sailing into the front corner of the end zone and snaffled up by Poppy Hartmann.
And that one, the first score assist rather for Daria Scheruga, the newly 15-year-old. I mentioned her dad just now. He's always on the sidelines, and she is just impeccable. Dominant with the disc and so good at defense as well. You'll see her break for this amazing put into space, and Poppy Hartmann plays for Zombies, mixed, and Mantis from Vienna in the women's division. Gets a score. We'll watch out for her layouts and just controlled body movement on defense.
Well, when we spoke to the coaches ahead of the game and asked them who their most well-developed players were in terms of those coming through, they did indeed say Scheruga was one of those individuals. They have their youngsters that, of course, coming through. Malcha, of course, also right at the bottom of the average age of this team. But Poppy Hartmann stepping up on defense repeatedly for Austria throughout the course of this tournament. But the Czechs are bolstered, and I do have to correct myself. Earlier in the tournament, I said that Kristina Tluster was still eligible to play in this under-20s division because she turns 20 this year. But of course, that's completely incorrect. She was not eligible to come here to Padova because if she had the chance, of course, she would. But she might have had some sage words of wisdom because she arrived on the sidelines today to help her fellow countrywomen towards their own bronze medal if they can get a hold here and get some breaks on the board. A massive launch into the end zone. Doležalová again being asked the question. This time she delivers and finds the reception in the end zone as well to Čechová.
Trailing edge grab for Doležalová. This time around it does connect, and that one was such a hard catch to make. That arm slashed out, and then the movement downwards. She took the disc with her and then blown coverage on that defense. The score for Čechová. So you see that a big put out of Dominika Hadová, who rested yesterday when the Czech Republic played Germany.
Indeed, they took that game not quite as seriously because it didn't mean anything for the championship bracket positions. Of course, in this women's division, we just went straight through from the kind of play because we didn't have any quarterfinals, only the 7 teams to play, so you literally cannot have them. So we had the pre-semis, which is an unusual one, where they took, of course, the defeat to the Italians for the second time for the Czech Republic.
Indeed, so they made it into semis, but then in these semis they did not withstand the powerhouse that Italy is. Italy and France both very tight on top of that division, although the matchup in between them was clearly in the favor of France, but we'll see that again tomorrow.
Well, the French Open team also came in solid favourites into the division. Of course, those 2 programmes are indeed the silver medalists from the World Joint Juniors last year, but the French Open have had some questions asked of them that they've not really been able to respond to until the later stages. So we'll have to see if it's a performance of the same all the way through this championship for the women's division. But the Austrians now out on offense again. Pick downfield is going to give us a moment of pause. Livia Justich with the disc in hand.
People are finding their places again.
And I think just off our camera view is where possibly the pick occurred. Either way, Justich looking for options. Sticks one through. It's Batian. Batian with the lead up line, forehand pass. Little dish to reset again. Meister fires upfield. Maucher, very agile, very rapid athlete. Austrians very happy to throw these breaks around the back of the mark. Meister, oh, that's a really lovely, shapely disc. Narrowly avoids the claws of the heads-up defender in the center of the pack, but that was a really lovely inside backhand release to the open side, Kristina.
You'll see that again and again out of Meister. She loves the kind of unconventional throws and has them in her pocket, and also trained them to perfection as she finds Theresa Rauch in the end zone for the second score of that game.
Well, all of these athletes of a young age, because of course this is the European Youth Ultimate Championships, but her senior on the squad is Leonie Meister, 18 years old. She'll be turning 19 at some point during this year, if my understanding is correct. So her last time out here at the under-20s level. Can Austria go home with the bronze medal? Of course, as we already mentioned, the seniors for the women's division of the Czech Republic snagged themselves what I lovingly refer to as a dirty gold, because sometimes it feels a lot better than winning a silver. But of course, a bronze medal for that programme back in Limerick in very different conditions.
Indeed. Maybe the wind was the same, but besides that, not as much sun, not as much heat. But I don't think you can ever just have perfect weather. It's always something different.
Yeah, you sort of have to just pick your poison when it comes to hosting ultimate tournaments. There's a lovely give-go up line, but The Austrians managed to stifle the flow a little bit. That's going to require big rundown action, but all happy to do it. Clutching the disc in the centre field, of course. Blašková delivering with the legs. Zaluška into the centre pocket again. Doležalová already got herself one good stat and one less good. Of course, that turnover in the early section that gave the Austrians the opportunity to pounce after going for with a one-handed casual grab. Sits patiently and waits for the window to open to Zaluška. Now fires through, massive layout, and the foul is going to be cool, but that was quite the effort from Daria Sharuga.
I don't think I promised too much. Such a good player already at a very young age. Getting through that, and there's going to be a discussion about that, whether it was clean or maybe Sharuga went through the body just a little bit, and they're going to watch our screen. They're going to see if we have a good shot at that.
Well, let's get another look on our mini screen, much more than the one we get for the players. That is very tight indeed. I don't think you could say it's a strip.
I don't think you can see it. What Sharuga says, I'm going to translate from German here because I know. It's like, I don't think I see it. I don't think you can see it. And then also, she says they were there at the same time.
Well, the replay doesn't give any clarity, so a contested foul. That one will go back to the thrower. We'll get a redo. But in my personal view of that one, I think that is a clean defensive bid. So in terms of, I think it sounded like it was a strip call. And I think that was a clean D. But it matters not what we think, folks. It matters only what the players on the pitch agree to. So disc in the back in the hands of Zaluška.
And a violation as one of the Czech players ran away very early.
Naughty, naughty. So back in play. Sauer tapping us in. Looking for the reset. Has one available, but chooses the beautiful backhand break, saying it's not just the Austrians that can throw backhand breaks, but the following pass a little bit too hasty and smashed into the dirt.
Johanna Dahl running through and smashing that disc to the ground, making sure no Czech hands can find the end zone, and that one just popped up with the wind that little bit. Another break opportunity for Austria.
Yeah, this is really tricky wind here for the bronze medal matches. It's been relatively light conditions most of the week in Padova, but as the heat has made itself very apparent in this late afternoon, thus too it also brings the windy conditions along with it, changing direction as well as speed constantly throughout these matches. Up line, there's a race underneath it, great help defense, and nearly the rescue redemption bid underneath. Great effort, but not quite meant to be. Sharuga trying to make the play. So dancing around, great handler marking. Just throwing into the off space though, and collected by the waiting palms of Johanna Dahl. Don't you just adore it? Sharuga now patiently waiting for an opportunity to develop in front of her. She's going to have to go for the up line. Easy grab. Oh, that is a really peachy flick, but it's going to be snaffled up by the defender who had the better position. Zaluška saves the day. Oh, Valicheva, sorry. It's a point and shoot from the Czech offensive players, connecting Doležalová. Bit too much touch on the mark there, but the foul will be accepted and we are back underway.
It's actually game time for the defense to stand up again.
Bulanova fakes that one about 3 times before connecting with Zaluška. Of course, one of 2 Zaluškas on this Czech women's side. Again, a high stall option has to be taken. Just about connected. Well, you've got to be good to be lucky, but there is a fortune favouring the brave on these deep shots from the Czech handlers when they can't find their resets. That one going too far high though, again last bar syndrome.
And not even a mark on the thrower there. Some miscommunications by the Austrians, but taking their chances with it, and they definitely do get lucky on that one. I don't think skill had very much to do with that, to be quite honest with you.
Well, certainly it's still a skill to run down in the wind at the moment, which is blustering and gusting across the field, sort of dropping and dying. It's really weird, really, really weird, this wind. Anyway, we will take a break alongside the athletes on the field. Do not go anywhere, folks. The Austrians are up one break, but it's early doors. Can the Czech women hold on to this point? Find out in a few minutes.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Disc in Austrian hands as they look down the barrel of a potential second break here in the women's bronze medal match at the European Youth Ultimate Championships 2023. Looking for options and finding none thus far as Dorsch just shoots it in front of a little yard gainer, but there's a foul call that's accepted elsewhere, so that one will have to go back.
That could change the rhythm of the game early if Austria gets that second break.
Well, very much so. Of course, the last time these two met, it was the Czech Republic that took the win. Of course, the Austrians have ground their way through this women's division. They've had several Universe Point wins, most notably that comeback from 4-11 down against the Germans, who only got their first win of the tournament at long last in their rematch against Great Britain on our live stream. That one, a lovely shot into the space, but mishandled a little by Frischmann. And it gives the disc back to the Czechs for another go at the task at hand. Zalushka with the small ball, resetting with Shvedskova. Sashkova, inside shot. Zalushka as well. Almost going every other. That's got lovely curvature on it, but it's a little bit too expansive to connect with the intended target in the end zone. The number 2, Alena Chekova. That makes the bid, flies through, and we get finied on the back of it.
At the third opportunity for Austria to break, and that fourth point of the game.
So a big shot expansively across into the soft side of the field. Well collected calmly by Hartmann. Now Bauer popping back the reset to Dorr. Sauer. Door streaking up line, that one well collected, well put into the space. A flash from the mark into the front corner of the end zone. This for another break for the Austrians, and it's going to be a little pop pass. Move into the end zone. It's the number 23, Hofmeister, who collects that one. But what a back and forth point that was.
Indeed, and Austria put so much pressure on the Czechs, and they lost it again. But just in front of their end zone, the last shot not connecting quite right there, and the Austrians at some point, a third time I think they have the chance to, they did break, and they did get that one in. And I want to highlight, just for personal reason, Helena Sauer, who bruised her ankle in her first point of playing this tournament and has decided that now is the time to play again. She got the disc, did not throw it away or drop it, but put it on and had the hockey assist for the score. Of course, she was present at the sidelines, did a lot of the mental work for the Austrian team, and can now contribute on the field as well.
We saw that the stats line thus far. Joanna Dor in this game has had 2 big old blocks and 1 assist. Maybe we'll see some door-to-door delivery action later on in this game. She's been playing for 7 years as Joanna, one of the catch-up Grouts members, which we already mentioned. Bit of a gift on the pole, that one a little bit too low to make too much yardage downfield, at about halfway. The Czech will start off. Oh, that is an absolutely gorgeous throw to start off and immediately finish the point underneath it. And then Stukova with the goal. And that is how you respond to getting a second break torn on you. But can the Czech now turn the Austrians?
Chef's kiss by the Czech coach for that play, and that one throw. Of course, it wasn't just one throw, but seemed like just a one pass score, and it actually was, as she picked it up and got it as well for that score. Stupkova, of course, in the last game we streamed, she had 7 goals, and she's gonna want that scoreline again. Just such a speedy recipient of those discs, especially in the end zone, just doing all the things right.
It really was a gifted pull, wasn't it? Didn't quite make that much stretch downfield, and therefore opens up the beautiful option off the set play. Well, that will do just enough for the Czechs to keep the Austrians from streaking too far away. Chechova with an amazing backhand assist, arcing through the sky, sailing. Of course, it's one of her fathers who trained her team. Says it's an unusual sport, but she likes it. She's had lots of experience, has Chechova, through the under-17s all the way till now. Says her career highlight thus far was a gold medal win back in the under-17s division in 2019. So let's see if she can add any more to her cabinet. But in the meantime, the D-line's going to have to do something different against this side. Meister with the disc in hand, and we see a zone coming out of the Czech women. Of course, they've chosen not to run any true D-lines or O-lines, have the Czech Republic, just putting out what they think their opponents will least like in terms of personnel. Meister high release into the center pocket for Justich. That one scales a little bit high and is unable to reach the hands of Mushammer. Immediate counter-attack with a big old backhand to the near side, but it's a drop in the end zone for Padova.
Unforced arrow there for the Czechs to give it back, and that's a lost opportunity for them.
It really is, although they might get another at this. Oh, look at the bounce on that block. Stupkova says, no, I will have the disc, and this time there's no mistakes from Dominika Hadova. She collects a lovely snatch on the front corner.
And we are within 1 of being on serve. 1 break for the Czechs back. That 2, of course, and Austria seemed to wanting to stop that bleeding, or never started even, and take the time out as we get a replay of that first had that. I'm pretty sure that defense did stifle her a little bit, prevented her from the catch.
Yeah, definitely got in the way.
And that one, the expansive shot over the top, that's exactly what that zone wants. And then just a one pass offense. Padova this time, no defense around her. She gets a clean catch.
Well, this is a replay of the Austrians' second favourite game of the championship. Of course, we already mentioned the universe point win over Germany, which they had the historic comeback from a 4-11 scoreline down. Of course, Germany have had an inconsistent tournament. I think it's probably fair to say they've had some unfortunate close losses. And of course, that one win versus GB, they took it right the way through against the Swedes. They will indeed finish in, I believe, 6th place overall in the 5 to 7 bracket. The beer bracket, as some lovingly call it. And all that played out with Great Britain taking the 7th spot in this women's division.
That's a bit surprising to me, because the Brits didn't do so badly at the beginning of the tournament, but apparently they have not quite made it to the end of it. Let's leave it at that.
Well, when you look at the overall standings in terms of the wins and losses record, it's a really interesting affair. Obviously, the French, as yet unbeaten, they sit right at the top spot, and of course will see themselves in the final against the Italians. The one loss for the Italian women's side, and of course that was against the French earlier on in pool stages. Every game in this championship bracket is a rematch from the initial pool stages because of those 7 teams within the championship format here, we should say. Just getting all these lovely scenes, lots of kisses back home for our many Czech Ultimate streaming fans. And if you're a fan of our coverage and you've not yet become a patron, or if you have no money to give us, you can certainly support us by hitting that thumbs up button on this game. Try and work our way up the mighty YouTube algorithms, but also like, subscribe, hit the bell button to get notified when we post new live streams for your delectation and delight. But if you fancy becoming a patron, we wouldn't say no. Go to patreon.com/ULTI.TV to keep this European ultimate scene free to watch live and on demand for as long as the YouTube servers go on. I'm sure that's going to be eternity. So Meister dishing across to Justi. Another zone look for the Czech. Meister. In fact, that's 2 Meister connections, the sisters. We go door to door and Meister to Meister. Oh, but that is a missed connection. Furlan, of course, daughter of the almighty Andrea Ordi, as he is known, one of the key organisers of the EUF.
And of course the president of it.
Indeed. But that is a fantastic run through block. Batian batting the disc into the turf.
Much needed for the Austrians. They gave up offense once. Not going to do that again.
Indeed, and they do need to keep one break in front of their opponents, because it was the Czech Republic who started the game on offense. So if it's all said and done, even punch for punch, it will be a Czech bronze medal at the end of the play here on Friday. Of course, both these teams will get a nice break and get to enjoy finals tomorrow back in the stadium. We'll be bringing you that coverage. But at the moment, it's all about the 82 and 28 working in synchronicity in front of us. That's a lovely pass over to the far sideline. Just a sitter of a backhand into the path of Meister, who launches to the end zone, but there's a Czech defender underneath it going for the Bosch block.
Doležalová reading that play to perfection, jumping up high and early, batting the disc to the ground.
Well, the East block, Bosch block, of course that being the team that Doležalová plays for back in the Czech Republic. A launch down the far sideline, underneath again once more Stupkova with the reception.
And a player calling Stupkova out of bounds. Of course, our view is probably the worst in the house.
We do not have best perspective from this far sideline.
We might get one of our cameras though to catch it.
Well, the drone might have had a good look. Let's have a garner at this one. Oh yeah, that looks good to us, doesn't it? And it's called good on the field. Big old skyrocket, the pack emerging underneath it, and it's just the trash collection behind everybody else.
Doležalova with the bookends, getting up high for the defense, getting up high for the score, and that one just a much needed break for the Czechs because obviously they want to win, so they can get up in front now.
Well, a creative way to find the goal, but that will indeed put us back on serve. 3 on the bounce for the Czech Republic. Are we going to see another timeout being called by the Austrian coaching staff?
Probably not. They just had a timeout, and if they cannot redeem themselves after this one, burning the second timeout early like that, not something I would advise personally.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not the moment to do it. Although both teams seem to be staying out on the field for quite a while. We have just had the whistle to remind everybody to stick to the time limits between points here at EYUC. But the sun's starting to sink towards the west here in Italy. Beautiful field site that's been taking some serious duty here in Padova. We've had a rest in the middle of the day for the heat, but apart from that, it's been back-to-back games all over the place as the Czech players have a little show with our drone flying overhead. They've stopped now. Of course, as soon as you put them on screen, they all get shy.
That is very typical. Like, as soon as you point a camera at the people doing stupid things, they will stop doing the stupid things because they're embarrassed of it.
Well, we need to get more cameras. That's my viewpoint. And if you want to help us do that, you know what to do, folks. We've already mentioned it. So, the Austrians looking to punch in a hold and stem the flow of breaks that the Czech women have been starting to put together. Easy ones back, just taking their time against the Czech zone. There have been some comments in the live chat about the spacing of the players, but this seems a little bit more legal. But of course, when players do invade your space, it means that there's nobody defending further downfield. And with the relative low wind conditions, they can put up these slightly saucier biscuits, but that is a battle won by the defense. There's going to be a call and a discussion. Hartmann saying that she thought maybe she had it first.
So that wind might not be very strong, but it's a side wind, and that always makes it super hard and good for those.
Well, they're right here next to our booth, so they're going to have a look. I think it's a contested strip call. Yeah, that looks pretty good to the defense, doesn't it? What's your view, Christina?
Yeah, I think so too. Doležalova was there first and had the better position as well. Can't give her the space and time to get underneath those discs. That's my opinion.
Well, she is 180 centimetres tall. It's a big old wingspan, especially in the women's division, but of course a fair fight because Poppy Hartmann's no slouch either. She's only the 7 centimetres shorter. Oh my goodness though, what a fantastic layout block that was. Denial and defence.
And guess who it was? Daria Sharuga.
Off she goes to the end zone to claim the bookends, but she's going to be denied. Stupkova slapping the disc out of contention. That's a little bit quirky. Lots of loft underneath it, but just about holds on the far sideline. Does Padova. Now back to Doležalova. Dishing. Oh, and that's a slinking backhand even. Looking for those flash cuts across the front of the disc. Now coming underneath. Svekova pops it through, but that's going to fall out of contention.
Maybe a miscommunication between Padova and Shvetsova. One of them wanted to go and gain some yards, the other one just horizontal redemption of the disc.
zone once more. Lovely biscuit out into the space. Easy pickings for Sharuga. All of the cup with their hands in the air. Crash through. Well, I say a crash, it's more like a trot through for Meister. He sits with the hammer. It doesn't go for it. That's more like the style of overheads we're starting to see in this game. Door into the pocket, and Sharuga collects the goal after quite the few turnovers. It is a hold for Austria, and we are still on serve.
Indeed, after the 3-point run by the Czechs, Austria managed to get that disc back into their end zone for quite some time as well. Puppy Hartmann in a very good position and then puts that disc into Sharuga, who gets the bookends after a just impeccable layout defense earlier in that point. And it's not the real kind of bookends not the basic one, but that defense just deserves to be mentioned again.
Oh, absolutely. And again, and again. And again, and again. Say it twice because we forgot to unmute. But that was, yeah, really, really sensational defense. I have to say, there have been moments where the Czech Republic women are dropping the disc, they're not connecting, they're having miscommunications. But for every one of those, I think there is still, has to be said, a proper block being generated by the Austrians. And no slouches either are the Czech defenders. They have had opportunities. You can see the little missed opportunity, a little bit of a late reaction from the deep defender. But really fantastic game so far. Readying for the pool is Poppy Hartmann. Already got a pretty impressive stats line. She's been rowing for 5 years before she started playing Ultimate. One of the elder stateswomen of this Austrian side. She's 19. And of course, it's always lovely to see crossover athletes come and show us what they can do in this wonderful sport. There's plenty of air and separation between the players downfield, but it's all about the air grab, the sky for Filichova even. And then an easy pop. It's a little bit of air bounce on that throw, but it just about gets held onto for the next Czech goal in very fast fashion indeed.
As open as that player was, a lot of air rounds probably wouldn't have been a problem in that situation. Great catch under pressure from Bauer, who just maybe missed that deep cut a little bit in the beginning. Good to catch up. Not quite the same read. And that one just popped back in and distributed for the goal for the Czechs. And that one, that whole point was, again, an easy one, and maybe something Austria wants to stop and should stop, the deep shots by the Czechs, because they are coming out too often and too easy.
Well, I think it's something that actually the Czech Republic women are doing quite well, because they said ahead of this game one of the things they really want to stop the Austrians were doing, that they've done so effectively throughout the course of this championship, is those hucks, especially the lead hucks. You could see in the early stages, I think for that first break even, there was a lovely backhand break throw out into space that obviously is the side that the defender is not allowing the athletic Austrian receivers to just go and collect without having to really do too much work to grind themselves free. So opportunities for both teams to push themselves in front, but an offside being called.
I've never actually seen so many offside calls in the course of a tournament.
Well, offsides happen a lot, Christina, so I'm really glad. We don't even have any game advisors signaling it. It's the players watching their opponents and signaling for their teammates to choose whether or not they're going to take them. So Meister, centre field position against the Czech zone. In fact, it's Meisters together, sisters doing it for themselves on an island in the centre of the field. A little toss over the top, getting some Justich action. Oh, that's a lovely find through the centre pocket. Rauch running away now. Meister, again taking the happily conservative options with her sister. Another distribution through the middle. That is clearly a hole in the zone that the Czech are going to have to be a bit more wary of, perhaps have a pinch in from one of the wings. They do now as the field compresses. But Meister Magic, that number 90 shirt, going almost every other throw. And I say almost, it really is almost. The two sisters working beautifully together. Of course, we love a sibling connection. So well polished and honed. But just slowly, calmly, resetting the disc, looking to try and inch their way forward. They've not got that much more distance to go with those big gainers through the center of the zone. Now looking to just try and push their way forward with the legs. Crushing through the cup. Need to see a little bit more activity from that front set, but that's going to be a lovely find again. The middle, lack thereof exploited. And a goal. Of course, who else? Teresa Rauch playing that position all point long.
Yeah, she got it again and again in the middle space. If someone was open there, it was Rauch moving the mark, her defensive opponent, that is, to one side and then slashing with kind of a 7-shaped cut back into the middle to get the disc from one of the two Meister sisters, of course, Mia and Leni. Her parents are here. Their parents are here to watch them as well. And Mia is rather young still, just 16 years. As Leni already 19, we mentioned her before. But the Czechs came out with a different zone. Instead of one marker and 3 in the cup, making a four people, making 4 defensive players around the disc, it was a 3-person cup and more people downfield to kind of prevent those over-the-top shots and deep shots. And we didn't see a single one of them, but rather like putting it through the cup. And also the stats, one of the stats that we take are total passes. And the total passes of this game were even, quite even, a deficit of 2 for the Austrian side. And after that point, I bet that is a very new and very different stat line to look at.
Well, it is indeed very interesting to look at the depth of stats in this game. Massive shout out to Elia Girardin, keeping us flush with all the information. The stats keeper tapping all the buttons behind the scenes here for our ULTI.TV crew. And certainly it's a good way in if you ever fancy getting involved with Ultimate Media yourself. If we're in your local vicinity, we're always looking for more stats keepers. I have to credit some of our crew, definitely getting lots of credit for Elliot for his amazing attitude and support all tournament long. Big shot into the deep space against this Austrian zone. The Czech Republic say, yeah, we're happy to throw the riskier shots into the deep space because they don't feel risky to us. But that one is thrown almost directly in the face of Pavla Velikova. Velikova coming unstuck.
Throws don't have to be long to be risky. Can be the short ones as well if they're not well tempered.
But thrown directly into Darisa. Havlova with the block and the bookends. She celebrates with the decorative hand is.
And that one a quick turn of events. Just one pass for the score in the end to Czech get it back and hold to make it 6-5. It's been cleaner for a while now. Everyone holding their offense. Of course, Austria started with a break and the Czechs broke back a bit later. But now, everything on serve, all good and well, the way we want this third medal match to be.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel when I agree with John Dock in the live chat, but I'm kidding, John. We do love to have you in our live stream chat. And but he says that it's a classic bronze medal game in response to Kaya Sofia's. This game is a roller coaster, to be honest, and we are pleased to be here along for the ride. Really long stoppages between these points, but also big shout out to Rahel Tashnerova, who from her Instagram, I know she's been cleared to do some physical activity after adding to the next generation of Ultimate players.
Of course, new mom and dad, John Dock and Arnold respectively. And that's great to have her back prepping to be back on the field soon, I bet. Taking on the Frisbee world once again and with a new title.
Well, we've seen some emerging stars from the Czech Republic without either of the Toshenova sisters coming out to the fields, but an offside being signalled by the Austrians. And of course, the title of ULTI.TV's favourite Czech Republic player is a hotly contested battle. Big shout out also to Tadea Skrim, watching from back home, enjoying our coverage as always. If you give us information about your team and help us with our media surveys, we will love you forever, I promise. But the Austrians not loving this zone look again from the Czech Republic, who don't really hustle backwards particularly quickly, but they do respect the space a little bit better. But nearly the run-through block. Great presence of mind from Meister to keep hold of the disc and just spin the body around to avoid the contact. Again, they find the hole in the center of the board.
They're back to the four-person coverage near the disc, because that one definitely worked better, but might just not have played against a Meister's sisters.
Well, Meisters of the zone offense are those numbers 82 and 90 for the Austrians. Lovely flat around break for Justich. Leading the charge forward now. Has a couple of players available in the near space, but the jaws of the zone try and pincer. There's a little flash at the fake. Going to have to be a bit more expansive. There's plenty of room. They do take the negative yards to Justich. Again, still just trying to hit this near side cone. You can swing all the way around if you like. It's a good way to defeat a zone when you're in a compressed field. Or go over the top because the wind has disappeared, she says, as it then gusts behind her back. Sharuga. Oh no, that's not Sharuga, that's Meister still. Getting my 9s and my 3s confused, but the hammer opens up the space perfectly. Is there the continuation? It is. Oh, that's a lovely way to score. The hockey assist hammer, perfect option in my opinion.
Indeed, a perfectly placed hammer, not too zippy and not too floaty, just into the bread basket there, and then the continuation. As that hammer went up, the whole Czech side, everyone moved towards it. We see that close defense again. Meister holding on to that heroically.
Well, this game is just very intense. Could be separated by but a wafer-thin margin.
And Leni Meister with the hammer over the top, and then everyone kind of compressing towards that space, wanting to guard, but then misregarding a very open plunk in the far side of on the far side of the pitch, who then gets the score.
Indeed, another of the catch-up Graz players on this side. Big shout out. We've talked a lot about our Czech fans, but we do indeed have Austrian love in the chat as well.
Loads of that, as always.
Indeed. No, some of it I can't quite understand because my German is not at the level of proficiency required.
I got you. Jakob Dunchen making an appearance. Of course, he is Austrian by birth and playing with Gut. Still living in the Netherlands, might be moving somewhere else soon.
Where somewhere else?
To be decided. I think he's moving back to Austria for now, but who knows what's in the books? Who knows what the future will bring?
Well, one of my favourite things about the European Ultimate scene is that they welcome players from other nations and other cities with open arms, but open arms unfortunately too open for Stupkova, who drops the disc just in front of our booth. So the opportunity for another break here. Sharuga finds the centre to Bauer.
Loads of cuts for the Austrian, no real structure, and that one is important to get.
Oh, but the sneak through from behind and immediately throwing the cannon to the deep space. Oh, the layout grab is going to be called out of bounds by the Austrian players. But she's going to have a look at the replay immediately. That's a solid choice.
That is a lot of, really a lot of confidence on her as she like launches her body away from it, and yeah, she definitely left the feet before she caught that. Yeah.
Yep, calls herself out of bounds pretty much immediately, but an excellent use of the video assistance. Shubkova, fabulous spirit, but what a fantastic grab either way.
Indeed. The way she launched herself just didn't give her own body the chance to be inside.
She did not give a damn. I'm not even counting that as a turnover in my book. That's just too cool. Too cool. One to watch for the future, just 17 years of age. Stanad Savol, which I'm definitely not saying correctly. But that is where she's from. Of course, one of the Chupacabras / East Bloc players for the Czech women's side. But it's all about the Austrians. Can they get another break in this game to put themselves back in front as we go towards the end of the first half? It's a big shot into the deep space, but nobody ready to collect it. There's a half-hearted effort from Sophie Dorr, but she wasn't expecting that one to come and realised a little bit too late, I think.
Poaching off the front of the stack are the Czechs, and that one works really well.
Čechova swings around. In fact, to the other Čechova on the team. A little stumble, but called up on the field.
Go down by the Austrians, as that was a trailing edge and might have just scratched the grass earlier. And of course, as soon as it touches the slightest whiff of grass,
well,
it's considered ground.
Sorry, some of her teammates will have a little look at that. We didn't quite catch it on camera too initially. That does look like it could be good because the hand's underneath.
I think it's very hard to tell. It's sure at the beginning, but then after that, as I'm having a closer look, I'm not quite sure. It might have been very simultaneous.
Considering how they're having to get their magnifying glasses out over here, I would say contest it, pop it back. Because the player with the disc in hand was fairly sure. She does have the overriding view. Denisa Havlova with a fantastic grab. But yeah, I think a contested down call is a fair resolution here, don't you, Christina?
Indeed it is. Just give it back to her again. Watch her do it out again.
Yeah, you've got to make the same throw.
Let's try that. Even though I believe in the abilities of Padova, I don't think she could do the same exact thing twice. Just because it's nearly impossible.
That was a very, very tasty throw. Maybe a millimetre higher on the release point, but what a great catch block in response. Sharuga once again. Auga indeed, goodness gracious. Fire down the end zone line. Big one around. Door. Trying to open up an opportunity. Oh, and is that going to be just enough? A little bit too big, possibly. But what a fantastic way to try and get the score in. Doesn't contest the out-of-bounds call. Poppy Hartman, what athleticism.
Indeed, that one just a little bit too much muscle from Dora. And she ground strips herself on that landing. Otherwise, she might have contested that down. But, of course, if you ground strip herself, that counts as a turnover.
Well, a Viennese athlete unable to cook up a biscuit in the end zone in this opportunity, but a big distance left to go now for the Czech Republic women. They do manage to break through that first line of the defensive unit and now racing away in towards the deep space. That's going to require a big bid, and none comes from Helena Blašková.
Leaving the feet, but only arriving at the knees. good pressure, but also it seems rather than the Austrian putting on defensive pressure, the Czechs are just overshooting themselves, maybe disregarding that this has been a week-long tournament and we're at the end of it here.
Yeah, perhaps, dare we say it, a little bit of T word, as I like to call it when I'm captaining or coaching. You're not allowed to say the word tired. It doesn't exist. Only exists in your mind. But certainly for the Austrians, it's been about getting mentally stronger over the course of the championship. It's going to require a huge bid. There is the flying form, but unfortunately not the connection. Padova coming up a little bit short. So, possible timeout situation here. Nope. Happy to play on are the Austrian D-line, but a little bit static upfield. Now injecting the pace is Dor. Doesn't have a secondary option immediately, but coming through to deliver a Sharuga. Those two pretty much doing the leg work. Hartman, though, given the easy underneath, because, of course, she's such a dynamo in the deeper space. Over the head of the mark goes the disc to Dor. Pops through. Again, not really too much action from the downfield. Hartman coming into the center spot, but the big poach off the handler set.
Disregarding a very open Sharuga.
Well, they certainly want to prevent Sharuga from launching herself downfield if they can just keep her contained and shut down her fellow countrywomen. That'll do just enough. That was going to put loads of pressure on it. And the second snag, making sure at the back of the pack, Czechova. Can they hold on to this point and bring us ever closer to Universe? It's a snatch in the center field. Padova, a bit of an up and down game so far for this bronze medal match. Launching a big old rocket again. These Czech women so confident, and there's going to be a secondary effort. Just enough for the Czech women to take 7-6 over the Austrians. The natural advantage by starting the game on offense. It's all on serve, Christina, but this is a real tussle.
5 players around that disc in the end, pushed off of initially catching it, but then the second effort works for the Czechs somehow. I don't know how she did that, but keeping control of that disc ever so slightly. That layout just 8 millisecond too late. On the other side, the great pickup for the Czech Republic, giving and going and laying low Padova, and then she will put it deep as well, as she does not get any other option than taking the big shot, faking it once and going that second time around. You see so many players around that disc, and Bauer bobbles it out, but not enough. Should have caught that. That's what I say.
Could have, should have, would have, but it's the Czech women who punch in that goal, and we have a timeout being called on the field, unsurprisingly, because that point took about 10 minutes to emerge, the third in a series of these long, grindy points. We're going to take a very brief break here, but don't go anywhere. This half will continue after these messages.
We live in a world where everything can be referenced online. Imagine if the greatest moments in our sport were never filmed. Eurodisc continues to do what it takes to make free-to-watch live streams a reality. Let's leave nothing to the imagination. We'll consume the action live, and we'll support those that help to make it happen. If it wasn't streamed, it didn't happen. Eurodisc.
What a grab! Oh my! Somehow they do it! Get there. Yes, he will.
The lovely did. Back in after the timeout being called here in the first half of the women's bronze medal match at the European Youth Ultimate Championships 2023. The beautiful Fields complex here, just on the edge of Padova. Italy, of course, some home talent emerging, getting into finals tomorrow, but it's all about who will go home with the bronze medal. We've just had the time of the timed half expire, but it will still be half time at 8. So this, a hold for the Austrians, would give us a galaxy point situation. Of course, galaxy, a bit of jargon of the lesser universe, because of course that's what we call the sudden death final game point finish, when things are leveled up. But this to keep everything on serve, or if you're a Czech Ultimate fan, to get the break and take a proper advantage into the second half. So the Austrians on the charge, looking for the inside reset. Up line, Meister turns on the Jets. Just a simple vertical stack, nothing too fancy, but great surrounding and switching defense from the Czech Republic. That's just a stone cold drop, but it's going to be retracted pick call in the center of the stack. You do have to catch the disc, and that is going to be indeed agreed.
Yeah, that was always too far out in front for Batsiyan, and that is the break chance Czech Republic needs.
Well, this to take half in a dominant fashion, streaking up line, big backhand over the top break. Much needed. Sashkova with the assist and a simplicity for the goal. A quick and lethal clean conversion of the break. We've not seen a quick counter-attack like that, Christina, since the first point of this match.
Indeed, one pass score for the Czechs. Not necessarily one pass, but it seemed like a very quick one. It was only two. Setting up was Padova with that high release shot on that far side, and then putting it into space. Shashkova with that beautiful inside. Released that a bit too early for my taste, but whatever works.
And it does work, and just about makes it past the streaking help defender. Really good poaching in the lane here. Can't quite see the number on the drone replay. I think that is indeed Teresa Rauch. Because I think, to be fair, if that had been released any later, Rauch probably would have had a solid play on it. But the Czech women managed to find an additional break in the latter stages of the first half. They lead the charge 8-6, but it's still all to play for. Can the Czech women get another bronze medal for their program and their nation? You'll have to find out. The Austrians will have something to say about, though, after this brief break.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our
our
work
work.
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and beyond.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Something in the air, always something in the air. Inexplicable, I can feel it in the air. Can you feel me?
Oh my goodness, they have catch block. Put it deep, and that's another high disc.
And it smacked away and picked up off the wobble.
Half time here in the women's bronze medal match. We've got some treats on the go. And what are these two teams cooking up for us? It is an absolute tussle. The other bronze medal match happening right now here at the European Youth Ultimate Championships 2023 is already at 11s. And of course you can follow along all of the scores here at this youth division online, thanks to all of our hard-working stats keepers. So Elia has brought us all this information, the depth of this game. Look at the parallels here. It can barely be separated, with the one exception of the break opportunities the Austrians have been generating. So that pressure may well start to mount in the second half and see them sail through. Of course, they took the first break in the game and got that second massive tussle break that had 7 turnovers, Christina.
Indeed, the Austrians dominating in terms of break chances, but also missing quite a lot of them. As you see, though, they're not quite converting them as well as the Czechs are. The Czechs might have gotten a few, some less than the Austrians, but they have converting far better. They're at 3 breaks and Austria at 2, giving them the 2-point lead just because they started on offense and gotten them back. We'll see. Well, it's not. I really love that we have all these stats, but I'm making a point of, if a game has so many breaks, is it really important how many breaks you got? Or is it important that you are actually up and have the better run and the better energy in the moment?
That's a really good question. I think probably it's looking at the depth of our information, one of the things I find really interesting is the pass tally of the Austrians. So yes, they've had more opportunities to get themselves some breaks. Certainly you have to kind of put it in with the number of turnovers per point, you know, who wins those big long battles. We had 10 turnovers is our maximum count, and that was a hold for the Czech Republic eventually, which they then took that momentum through to get the break before the half time. But 42 passes for one of the clean holds for the Austrian against this Czech zone, which they bring out for us once more. Of course, both the Meister sisters will be very happy to keep giving and going between each other. That connection is very firm and strong, solid as a rock, some might say. That was a rocket, though, across into the hands of Batyan. Meister. Gonna have to pop one over the top of the zone. Nope, just has the reset backwards to Justiš. Meisters looking at each other across the field. That one, beautiful sitting backhand, so much beautiful touch on it. There's a crash through the zone, but takes the reset to Justiš instead. Now Meister far sideline, reaching backhand again, connecting with the centrally positioned Teresa Rau.
Just great continuation cuts from her again and again in the best position to get an easy throw.
Well, fakes the over the top. Instead, just taking the conservative options in front. I like the way they're denying the backwards reset, but that's a beautiful hammer to the soft side of the field. And again, the Czech defenders finding themselves out of position. Maybe need a little bit more communication from the sideline.
Maybe, but this is kind of like the option you want to give them, because it's a hard one. You can't expect everyone to execute hammers that way, especially that one from Meister. The second one she's thrown in that game, and that one, just perfection onto that far side. It's a daring shot to take, but a great one for her. 4 players close to the disc, and the others have to slice up the end zone for them. And it's easy to overlook someone like Sophie Planck, who just waited in the perfect position until she really was in the perfect spot to be hit there. And the defense was pretty close as well. Just the hammer was that positioned that well that there was never a chance for the defense to actually get in there.
Well, this is one of the arguments for choosing the upside down throw rather than something more traditional like a high release backhand over the cup. Of course, a blade would have also come down with an excellent shapeliness to sort of sit down in that way, but if you're used to catching upside down throws, those hammers, those scubas, etc., the flight path, the way it drops into a particular spot on the pitch does work out well. There was a close defender, but there was also a close compatriot. I couldn't quite catch the jersey number, but there was another Austrian player who could have helped to pinch it in if required, or just waited to see if the sky battle was going to ping ball the disc back out. But the hold for Austria to start the second half, and the Czech Republic will have to do the same to maintain their lead in this match. Of course, leading by 2 when they punch in their goals at the current moment by virtue of that one break and starting the game on offense. Chekova. Big one across the way. Hulcheva. An easy delivery to Havlova. That one, though, is going to escape the grasp. Dolojalova unable to collect.
And just as the Czechs made a run of it, and Austria probably wanted to transition to matchup defense, that disc just does not find the hands of Dolojalova, but the ground, and Sharuga is going to put it huck deep as no one in the stack really moved. Poppy Hartmann underneath it, just tipped and caught by Frischmann.
Well, we talked about the Czech Republic maybe needing to wait for the help to kind of, the defense to maybe knock it backwards, but that time it's Frischmann who has the garbage collection after everyone else missed the opportunity. It's a racy inside break shot that's going to sail way too far. Can it be redeemed? No, it's taken away by the defender. That's fantastic rundown defense for the Czech women.
A cannon, too much of a cannon, that inside shot over Hartmann, who just tipped the disc further towards that end zone, and the defense just smacks it away as well as she moves that cone slightly.
Oh, don't do it. Keep it where it is and establish your pivot foot closer into the field. Don't deny yourself the advantage. But Stolova keeping eyes on the prize and the closing speed of that number 65, doing fantastic work for the Czech women. So this to hold on to their offense. We see a transition into match defense from the Austrians. Although they are doing some solid switching and just poaching in the lane. Oh no, there we go. We are back to a zoney type look.
Of course, zone offense is always just finding players in space, but a form of switching, of stopping different spaces to be attacked and wanting to for certain spaces to be open. So you can always call it matchup defense with switching. So you're absolutely right.
Well, discipline from the spacing of the Czech women. The wind once more has disappeared on the field. It seems to rise occasionally just when the Austrians have the disc in hand, but right now, pause on it. Dolojalova pops back. Oh, that is an absolutely gorgeous backhand, but unfortunately 0 Czech receivers anywhere near it.
Probably intended for Padova, who set up that cut nicely from that far side of the pitch, but it trailed the wrong edge, and Dahl kept her eyes on it the whole time and got it as well, macked it down.
Well, a high one across the stack, engaging all the sky battles are these two teams, but that one, Velikova, denies. So give-go action, defenders nowhere near. Big old boost on that backhand, but easily handled by Jana Stolova, who gets a sort of semi-bookends for the hold.
She did have a great defense on one side of the pitch and gained that score on the other. Of course, a hold, and the Austrians had their opportunities. They're just not quite good at retrieving them.
So a timeout call here in the second half of this women's matchup. Getting a look at some of the moments of that last point. Of course, big shout out to Julia Frischmann. The eyes on the prize in the back, but the Czechs being a little bit risky with the disc, but it's fine when they have receivers underneath it. Curious scenes, but eventually they are able to redeem themselves. Let's see, though, if the Austrians can bring it back within one of their opponents as this second half continues. Well, the desk says we're going to stay with the moment, and I don't mind it. Beautiful scenes here in the late stages. Local time, 17 minutes past 7.
They're taking quite long to put people on the line. They're taking not as long with their timeouts.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre strategy, but heck, it is what it is.
Double the break chances, more than double for Austria. But we've already talked about the way to redeem them is by punching in a goal. Just only getting the chances is not enough.
Well, it has been about those multiple recover points. That is a lovely shot, though, miles free in the deep space. Teresa Rauch again delivering for this Austrian side.
Bubbled that disc, but caught it. And Meister with the score, snacking out of that disc. Of course, she put that deep shot up as well.
Well, eating her own cooking, the Meister chef of this Austrian offensive line, doing such fantastic work out here. You have to say the stats for this game have been more well distributed for the Czechs than it has for the Austrians, but only closely so. Eating up the stats board, of course, of the Czech Republic, Adela Štukova. But on the Austrian side of things, Plank, Rauch, Meister, Sharuga, all with significant tallies so far.
Plank, not usually one of the main receivers, but managed so well to put herself into a good position in that zone. That has gotten her these 2 scores.
Well, based on the standings coming into the bracket, it should on paper be a Czech victory, because this is all for that bronze medal. The nice feeling of going home with not only a piece of metal around your neck to say, yep, EYUC 2023, I was here, but also just that feeling of ending your tournament on a victory. And this is a rematch, like all of these women's games, from pool stages. That one was such a well-spirited game. These two opponents were really excited to play each other. Of course, that one did go significantly to the Czechs, 14-11. But it's all turned around, these two programs having developed, of course, over the course of this championship. Of course. So a zone from Austria to try and push up the pass tally for the Czech Republic.
The zone hasn't really stopped the Czechs well. It was when they transition out of it that mistakes happen from the Czechs.
Dolijalova swings to the line, goes immediately up and receives. Has an easy reset if she looks at it, but shows the dish over the top instead to Havlova. Someone who is not afraid to shoot a big flick into the sky. That one very low, but well handled by the receiver, Chekova. Oh, and that's such a lovely continuation, break side find. A quick piece of offense for the Czech offense. I was going to call them an O-line, but they're not running any O-lines. That's the whole point of the way the Czech have been managing their team over the course of this championship. There are no lines, there are no rules. It's just a case of finding who's having a great day at the office, and it has to be said, both of the Czechovas delivering for the Czech side.
In that line, and I want to make a point of calling them an O-line because they were on offense to start with. So the O-line the Czechs put out this point was just very good at finding the flow, something East Bloc on the club side have done to perfection in the club scene, and Doležalová and Havlova, the ones that really work the disc through the zone, are both part of East Bloc, of course. Indeed. So taking some of their national club team to their national side.
Certainly, and East Bloc, of course, a team that are guaranteed to be representing the Czech nation at EUCF. Are they not?
Not, well, let's put it that way. They're not guaranteed because they didn't get a spot, but there is 5 women's team in that East Division regionals and 4 spots. And these 5 teams are Box, 3SB, East Bloc, Troubles, and Panthers. Oh. Saying East Bloc gets a spot is pretty much yes, they will. But another offset on the field. I don't back them not making that 4 out of 5.
Oh, there we go. I get confused, you see, because the only wildcard events I've been at either haven't featured the women's division or have featured 2 berths immediately qualifying through to the EUCF series later on this year. Of course, massive shout out to all of those European club sides, because obviously many of them have been so pivotal in developing these juniors programs. But we'll see them get that experience at the elite level later on in the season. But right now, focusing our eyes back on this field. Rauch looking for an option. Stall count really starting to rise, just about squeezes one back to the stumbling form of Justich, but the conservation of greatness needs to be redeemed by Rauch. Support from the sideline, trying to get the controller out. All the Czech coaches. This is what this player wants. This is what that player wants. But at the moment, it's great containment and coverage from the person. Match defense. That one just going to escape the hands of Theresa Rauch.
And that one's a tough one because there was a pick call in the stack and everyone else had stopped and Rauch ran on. It's either a turnover because she didn't catch it or someone else arguing that they could have run onto the field as well.
Well, if the pick happens and is called, if it's well before the throw, then it's decided that it impacts play, you can come back, but more or less you do have to catch the disc, and that one had a lot of gas on it. So in my book, this would probably be a turnover, because although everyone did stop, the throw is still committed, and Rauch was as open as she was going to be.
Indeed, I'm not quite sure if maybe Planck, who I see in the back of the end zone here, could have had position to go and still redeem that disc if she didn't stop from the turn. I think that is a valid thing to say, although like she didn't do it, she could have just done it, and that's a turnover in favor of the Czechs.
Yeah, absolutely. Even when you hear a pit call, if you see that disc go up after the rules changed many, many moons ago, it becomes a case of playing still heads-up awareness defense, or I say offense even, because the disc does really need to be caught regardless of when the pit call is made. That one's going to be a pinball for one game for Holitska. Well, it doesn't have to be clean, it just has to be effective. There's not going to be the massive cannon of the Zaluska used, even though there was plenty of separation downfield for Vachova. Bouncy up line, nearly a collision, but great body control from Meister, who had a good look at that lead pass up line. Easy resets being found. but good containment. Padova seeking opportunity. There is a delivery up line. Chechova. Oh, that is such a nice idea, but surely that's way too much to be handled by Zalushka.
Turned on the jets in the end, did Zalushka, but just not quite there. That throw got even speedier as it continued into the end zone.
Yeah, the wind has dropped once more. There's a little mini flutter of our very top flags of nations, but some of them completely stood statue still as the Austrians try and battle their way through here. Just 16 and change left on the game clock. That one a bit of a risky shot behind the back of the receiver, but all fine. Up line now for Rauch. In through. Looking for the give go. Oh, that is surely a goal. That's gorgeous. Oh, yes, please. More of those. But a pick call earlier on, or is it a travel? Some kind of stoppage is going to bring that back, but thankfully we captured that amazing throw.
Out call for Batian on that sideline, I believe. And my Austrian heart just stopped a little bit when you said surely go before she actually caught the disc.
I had every confidence. That throw was absolutely sensational. You really cannot ask for much finer. Thrown from the open side to that perfect soft spot. An inside huck break.
So saying Batian was out of bounds, or I think her foot touched the line when she caught the disc, is what they're saying. And I think our drone got quite a good shot off of that. It's super close, but I do think she's in bounds. I don't think her foot touched that white line. Of course, if you touch the line even just a little bit, it's out.
Yes, one molecule of field chalk on your boot is the technicality of the out. I mean, if they want to, they can send it back. It doesn't really matter in terms of the rules. They don't care what the players decide as long as they agree. But the thing I care about is just how nice that throw was. They've had a look at the VT. I think if the players can't come to an agreement, they are just going to have to send it back to the last section of agreed play.
That was Rauch, I believe. And Batian was so open.
But you have to stay within bounds in the playing field. It looked good from our high angle, but
it did, and only Czech players looking at that replay on this side, as or most of the Austrians are on the other side, and there's still a discussion on the field. Don't quite understand what they are talking about, really.
Well, ultimately we are quite far away, so we can't tell if there's a single solitary blade of white grass on the player's foot. So they'll have to chat it out between themselves. I think probably elongated discussion. You've just got to make a decision soon. I see some hand signals for retraction and signals for goal.
So they're discussing a pick now. Thank you for the information. Some contact, maybe, or a pick at least, and that one is retracted. It's going to be a score for the Austrian side, coming within one.
Well, I have zero bias in this game, other than it being close. So that's a hold for the Austrians that they really need to have to keep this game hotly contested. So I'm a fan of that. But mostly, Christina, I'm just a huge fan of that backhand huck. So I'm happy that one stands for the goal. And things are getting spicy on the field behind us, I have to say. Well, the last time I saw the score, it was 14-11 after going toe-to-toe pretty much the full stretch of the game under the VO stream. Shall we spoil the result? Because people could technically watch it.
Okay, so people...
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
Don't listen now, but Germany wins another bronze medal, 2 World Championship bronze medals, a European Championship bronze medal for the men's, and now another, open of course, and then another open one in the EYUC.
It's all about the bronze for Deutschland this season. Well, they will be very happy with themselves. They snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, unfortunately, in their semi-final against the French. That one went all the way down to the wire. So that's the result for the bronze medal match in the open division. Commiserations to that very talented GB squad, but congrats to the very talented Germans.
You know what I heard when I snuck through the trading going on? Most of the GB players, besides 2 of them, can still play next year. So watch out, world. That GB team, and I don't love to admit it, let's be honest, but there's some talent on that team.
The perennial underdogs. I have to say, of all the GB teams I've watched this season, the under-20s open and women's teams here are some of my favourite to have commentated on. The attitude of those athletes is the right kind of stuff. The future looks bright, I think, for Great Britain, but I'm biased. I'm deeply biased. Of course I'm not. I'm paid not to be. So, the Czech Republic with the disc in hand, standing 1 solitary break above their opponents, but 2 by virtue of score if, and it's a big if, they can put this one past the Austrian defenders. Bit of clustering in the near side space, closing the options. It's going to be a chuck it and hope, and snatched out of the air by Meister. Stall out being called. That one will stand as a turnover irrespective. It's just about whether it's the field's position, and it's not Meister, it's Daria Sharuga.
Another D for Sharuga. Maybe 3 or 4 on her tally now. Probably 4 or 5 on attempts.
Yeah, I think more attempts than blocks, but that is what we talked about, the pressure you're able to put on. Last week, that number 30 turned 15. She's got 15 years left of playing career before it matches the number on her shirt. That's a missed opportunity, though, for the Austrians. Thankfully, you see Poppy Hartmann getting up out of the dust. So that would be a huge loss to see her knocked out of this bronze medal match. So just over 10 minutes left. Can the Czech Republic hold on to this one? Oh, it's taken away by the defense. What a play. This time it is Leonie Meister that gets the catch block. Crediting one of each. Oh, that's very low and just misses the grasp. Franziska Bauer clutches nothing but air. Oh, but my goodness gracious, this is a game, folks. What a play.
Poppy Hartmann running through that, getting her hand on that, smacking the disc down.
Oh, but a missed opportunity quickly. Justisch unable to connect. Love the way Poppy Hartmann trotted off like she didn't care after getting that big old block, but this one is all about care and attention in the end zone. Denisa Havlova with the goal to add to her already impressive stats tally. Her final year of eligibility for the under-20s division. 3SB player coming up through the ranks and clutching the 11th point for the Czech Republic. I don't think, Christina, we're going to get the full 15 cap here. It's going to be neck and neck, punch for punch. No breaks in this second half whatsoever, and a timeout being called on the field. Just getting another look at that incredible replay. Hartmann just casually, cool gals don't look at explosions. They blow up your offense and then trot away into the sunshine. So, folks, we're going to take a very, very brief break here, but don't go anywhere. This game will conclude in a few minutes.
We live in a world where everything can be referenced online. Imagine if the greatest moments in our sport were never filmed. Eurodisc continues to do what it takes to make free-to-watch live streams a reality. Let's leave nothing to the imagination. We'll consume the action live, and we'll support those that help to make it happen. If it wasn't streamed, it didn't happen. Eurodisc.
Oh my, somehow they do it!
Well, the eyes in the skies. Welcome to Nicholas Ho Airways, ULTI.TV's favoured drone pilot for this women's bronze medal match here at the European Youth Ultimate Championships. Less in the live chat throwing shade at our camera ops, unless you're going to come here under the hot Padova sun and pull a piece of cardboard to shade them yourself.
I remember John Dock trying out that camera operating, last year at juniors, joined juniors at that.
Well, we do love you, John Dock, but that is not what we love to see. Teresa Rauch, having been asked so many times to redeem the Austrian women for point after point, perhaps becoming a little bit exhausted. Still working very hard, but that was a very fast stall out count by my stopwatch.
Indeed, and getting off that break late in the stall. Stall out retracted.
Yeah, I think I counted, I was literally just watching back on our own live stream on YouTube. I think that was about 7 seconds, so a fair retraction of that one. Maybe they heard me say that was very fast by my stopwatch, because of course our hearts aren't pumping at this stage. Maybe a little bit of a pulse raising affair as the Czech women, Leiska pops it forward. Oh, that is really nice flow across the break line, but the Austrian defense stops it dead. Shvetsova, big backhand around break, sending the mark soaring. You cannot ask really any more of these Austrian women. Shvetsova communicating that she doesn't like the look of that initial reset. Chekova now. Again, the high release, well, any kind of release point on these big old backhand breaks. Shvetsova, low pivot, but it's a stone cold drop. Amelia Vahova unable to just find the disc and put her paws around it.
Maybe already thought about what fancy throw she's going to put up there.
Well, that really would have put themselves in a much more secure position if the Czech Republic could have punched that one in. They're going to have another go. The Austrian O-line coming out and showing us what they can do. Leonie Meister, oh, that's a beautiful high release backhand over the shoulder of the mark. I'd love to see it. Justish with the easy pop into the center, and a timeout being called by Meister. Live in play timeout. Let's see if it's going to turn into a time over.
Or turn out.
Yeah, whichever your jargon of choice. You see Tluster there with some sage words of wisdom running the clipboard alongside the trio coaching staff. Of course, Tluster herself having come through the juniors program, and of course one of those bronze medal winners from EUC back in Limerick. But we're going to take a brief break, a moment of repose here as this game gets a little bit spicy. The Czech Republic lead, though, over the Austrians 11-9.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Women's bronze medal action here at the European Youth Ultimate Championships 2023. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, a Brit alongside a gorgeous Austrian athlete. In fact, you are credited in some of your player surveys for your under-20s as being one of the best throwers out there, Christina. I won't reveal who, because I'm sure you already know.
I don't actually.
Oh, well, we'll reveal that at the end of the match. The one, the only, the inimitable Christina Obermeier.
I didn't actually know that, really.
There you go. That'll put a smile on your face for the rest of the day, even if your countrywomen can't reel in a bronze medal here. Meister looking for an opportunity. Jiving round the back is Justish. Through to Batian now. Resets with ease to the other Meister. Is it going to be a sister connection for the next pass? It is indeed. Those two stoic handlers. Happy to pass to each other over and over again. Justish, though, that one a little bit quirky. And again, it's ripped out of the sky. This time, Batian wins the battle. Czech women trying to stop the inside passes. Meister now. Oh, that's a beautiful piece of vision, just sitting in the back corner. Absolutely gorgeous form, and after some pretty intense movement to get those resets out, it is a lofty shot to the deeps and collects the next goal, keep themselves within 1, 11-10. But the game clock dripping away. They're running out of time to get a break, are the Austrians, because they're going to need 2.
Unconventional throws all over, but I'm here for it. The way Meister puts them into perfect position in the back of the end zone. Look at that pivot point as well, just stepping out, lunging deep, and then pulling the trigger on that one for, I believe, her favorite target, Rauch.
Yeah, you can definitely see the love between the connection there. I have to say, I am also myself fond of a low, aggressive pivot around the mark when you've got a decent amount of reach in terms of your overall frame. Meister has neglected to tell us exactly how tall she is, but she's no mini athlete.
I don't think she's that tall, but
she's not small.
No, not at all. I think just if you have a very tight mark, and that was a very tight mark, it's so easy to step around because you can just put them into a position and then just step by, even if your legs aren't the longest, which I'm not arguing they are or not, because I've talked to her many, many times. I don't actually know.
Time cap, is it on? When's it on? Is it scored to what?
How tall she is exactly? It's going to be around 173. That's my call.
Well, sometimes you set something up and the other person swishes it, and that was a swish indeed. That point about these tight marks, certainly the Czech Republic have been putting on some pretty close sets at the front around the disc, and the exploitation of the aerial space when the wind drops for the Austrians has been fantastic. So we have it confirmed. The time cap went off before the last point finished, so it is a game to 12. So this, the first match point of this women's bronze medal. It is going all the way to the wire, potentially, if the Austrians can flash in front and get a block here. Doležalova fires one into the center of the pitch. Oh, it's a low flick, but can it be redeemed with the layout score? It is, and the bronze medal is won by the Czech Republic with a layout. Denisa Havlova with a huge reception in the last gasp.
It took everything for them, and that was just perfection for the Czechs. Austria trying everything in that last possession. They were just running after them. The Czechs always one step in front, especially in that second half after getting 3 breaks earlier in the first half. And then that second half just clean in terms of holds, no breaks whatsoever, which means the game is in favor of the Czechs, and they have well deserved that bronze medal for them. And we'll get a replay of that impeccable play. Doležalova puts it into the hands there, and Padova.
This was the moment where I thought, oh no, it's been a very up and down game for the number 36, Dominika Halova. She's had some moments of true beauty, but some moments where she's just lost a little bit of focus, and I thought that one was going to be taken away by the defense. What a phenomenal bid this is. So close to the rescue, but just not quite. Well, massive effort by the Czech Republic women. We've been giving you the stat of break opportunities all day long, but we'll have to bring you the depth of the stats after, of course, our sideline interview. And we've hustled into the booth the pair that just connected for the bronze medal winning goal. Now, Now. All right, we will start with the thrower. Dominika Padova, how do you feel?
Well, I've been dreaming of this moment ever since I started playing ultimate, and that's why I'm so emotional. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We love the emotions. This is exactly why we want to talk to you in this moment. So you said you've been dreaming of winning a bronze medal.
Yeah, the throwing is a cherry on the cake. Just the medal is something amazing for me, really.
What's
really
been
is.
the hardest part of your preparation? What's been the biggest hurdle you've had to surpass to get to this championship?
Running. I hate running.
It doesn't look like it.
I don't love the running, but gotta do it. So gotta get the sprints in and all this stuff, and I hate it, but
is it worth it?
Look, it pays off, doesn't it?
It really does. Well, we'll pass over to Denisa Havlova, because of course you were the person required to run down that slightly low. It made me feel my feelings, that throw. I was thinking, what's going to happen here? Yeah. When you saw the defender miss the opportunity, what was going through your mind?
Honestly, I don't know. Don't remember the moment. I was just like, hey, this is it now. Whenever you must catch it. Whatever you do, you just go for the disc. And yes, that was the feeling.
So I asked what the least favorite hurdle was, but what's been your most favorite moment up until now throughout the course of this week?
Oh my God. Well, I gotta say it was yesterday's evening when we hang out with the girls in the city and we had a pizza. And we actually wore dresses, and it was very fancy. It was nice seeing the girls without the cleats.
Oh, well, absolutely. You're going to have some very fancy bronze medals that you can go through the airport with. Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
I'm a European bronze medalist, as we call it, the dirty gold. So do you have any messages for your fans back home? We'll pass back over to Dominika.
So I want to say something to my twin sister. Ahoj Viktorko, díky, že mě pořád podporuješ. Jsi nejlepší. And actually my family is over there, so hey girls, whatever. They are supporting me,
And what does it mean to have all of your fans here alongside with you for the journey?
It's so amazing because when we feel a bit down and they start cheering the Český holky, like Czech girls, it's like you have to lift your head up and clap your hands, and they really lift you up when you need it. I think it's so important to have that sort of support.
So, Denisa, do you think there was any advantage having watched your senior women? Presumably you were all tuned into the live coverage to support from back home. So do you think there was an advantage, and how does it feel to know that you've done exactly the same that your senior women did?
It feels amazing because they realize right now that we're coming to the seniors soon, so they better be ready for us.
They have to make room on the roster for you. They definitely do. Well, congratulations again. An amazing game to call. It went so long. There was so much tussle in it. But obviously, it was all about getting those extra breaks in the first half. Enjoy your celebration. I look forward to seeing all of your social media with these amazing dresses you promised us.
Will do.
Whose social media do we have to follow? What's the handle?
Padova, Dhadova.
And she'll tag me in it, so you can just follow her.
Like the biggest there. You will all see it. Don't worry. Nice.
Well, congratulations again. Go enjoy your celebrations and enjoy finals tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Well, we will release the two beautiful Czech athletes to go and celebrate. What a fantastic emotion that was, and I'm sure you've all enjoyed this one. Hats off to the Austrians. The amount of genuine, legitimate blocks that they managed to achieve in that game is a real statement. They just narrowly missed out on a podium finish, but fourth in Europe, that is still a heckin' performance.
Indeed, it's not bad, and these young athletes coming towards that senior division. I want to shout out all these young women, all of them still under 20, most of them even younger, 17-year-olds, 15-year-olds on both sides. They did such an amazing job. The body control we saw, the disc skills, the overall understanding of the game. I think that's really impressive for this young age.
Yeah.
And I just can't wait to see them on so many more international stages. And we run into match stats here. The Czech Republic 12 over Austria's 10. 3 breaks for the Czechs versus the 2. Of course, all of them were in the first half of this game. 5 clean holds each. These happened all over the game, and then double the break chances for the Austrian. And this says something, right? Double the break chances, 16 compared to 8, and they couldn't redeem a single one in that second half. I think it was 11 after that first half at halftime stats, and adding another 5, but none of them enough to get a break, to make it even, make it universe.
Indeed, it was just the carrot they were chasing for that second half. I mean, some of the pass tallies in this game, the maturity of the Austrian offensive line. They had 1 point where there were 42 perfect, clean completions for a goal to take us to 5s. At later stages, that first point coming into the second half, 24 passes. The nerves on some of these players, those Meister sisters are coming for you. They are mighty fine with the disc in hand. But just at the end of the day, I think few extra looser passes where the Czech athletes were just really dominant, reading the disc, making sure they were the ones coming down on the right side of those 50-50 shots repeatedly. You've got to be good to be lucky. And I think fortune favoured the brave for both sides when they really went for those adventurous throws over the top. So that will wrap us up here for the action at the Eugenia Sports Centre, just on the outskirts of Padova itself. We are moving into the city though tomorrow, folks. It is back-to-back finals action. Who will go home with the top spot in any of these youth divisions? Kicking us off 9:30 local time here will be the women's division, France versus Italy. Then moving on to mixed, 11:30 local Central European time, Hungary versus Switzerland, the replay from the last finals we had. And then open, last but by no means least, will be Italy versus France as well. So who can rise to the moment in these youth divisions? It has been a real pleasure to bring you today's semi-final and bronze medal action. For myself, Hannah Pendlebury, for Christina Obermeyer, Steph Rapazzo, and all of our wonderful camera operators, Milan, Felix, Nicholas, Joel and Chips, working hard under the hot Padova sun. We will see you tomorrow for finals on the other side.
It's over, you wanted her, so just give me what I it's over. You wanted her, so just give me what I deserve. So can I get some closure? Stay right where you are and don't come closer. If you haven't picked it up, it's over. Run back to her, 'cause I got what I want, closure. You wanted her. You left me her. But I won't cry as long as I give me some closure. Who you think you are. You're lucky that I don't want revenge. So can I get some closure? Stay right where you are and don't come closer. If you haven't picked it up, it's over. You wanted her, so just give me what I deserve. So can I get some closure? Stay right where you are and don't come closer. If you haven't picked it up, it's over. Run back to her, 'cause I got what I want, closure. I might be broken down, but I'm smiling. I keep my head up high, though I fail. Sometimes I get a bit emotional, but then I turn around and let it go. I see you watching me from a distance. I see you can't decide what to feel. But if you dig a little deeper, boy, you know you really wanna get to know me. Let's get this out of the way. I can't wait another day to tell you you shouldn't wait. Don't be so afraid. Yeah, I'm a bit too much, but I'm fun and games. When I'm at the top, I just wanna play. If you are looking for one hell of a ride, just come and get it. Baby, I'm all yours. Come and get it, 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 come and get it. If you are looking for one hell of a ride, just come and get it. Baby, I'm all yours. Jump on my roller coaster and hold tight. It won't be easy, but it'll be fun. Sometimes it goes the whole way up and down. I think you're ready now to leave the ground. Get in the fast lane, babe, you can make it. I promise I'll be there all the way. And if you get a little broken down, all that you gotta do is keep your head high. Let's get this out of the way. I can't wait another day to tell you you shouldn't wait. Don't be so afraid. Yeah, I'm a bit too much, but I'm fun and games. When I'm at the top, I just wanna play. If you are looking for one hell of a ride, just come and get it. Baby, I'm all yours. Come and get it, 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 come and get it. If you are looking for one hell of a ride, just come and get it. Baby, I'm all yours. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, I'm a bit too much, but I'm fun and games. When I'm at the top, I just wanna play. If you are looking for one hell of a ride, just come and get it. Baby, I'm all yours. Come and get it, 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 come and get it. If you are looking for one hell of a ride, just come and get it. Baby, I'm all yours. Want your kisses in the morning light. Wanna be next to you every night. No, I shouldn't love you, but I might. 'Cause your lips, they taste like cherry wine. You're no good for me. We're so bittersweet, but I still want you. I do. Baby, can't you see what you do to me? I just get
Thank you.
Thanks.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.